Namaste, yogis. Welcome to your practice. This is Stephen from YogaWorks. What I want to share with you today is a hip recovery flow. Hips always a good idea, and recovery means we are sort of taking our foot off the accelerator without being completely passive. So this is not where we're going to push the intensity and go for maximum flexibility and range, but it is where we sort of move in a feel good maintaining kind of way. And this is really great after a day at work, after a trip, after, or maybe you've been working really hard or training really hard for something, and this is your recovery day. Maybe you've been running or cycling or doing any other sports. So this is a great sort of complement. Or if you're always doing a strong Ashtanga Vinyasa practice, and this is your kind of day off without wanting to skip your yoga practice, this will be really great. So I have one block here. If you don't have a block, then just improvise, take something else. And even if you don't have anything like this, we'll make a plan or guide you through it. And then let's come into a first pose, which is a tiny squat with the toes, the big toes touching, the heels touching, and then open the knees to the side as far as they'll go. And then just start to lean your upper body forward and down. So we're gently rounding the spine. You can let the head rest, so there's a gentle curve in the neck and in the rest of the spine. And let the tailbone sink down, let the heels sink down, so that the backs of the legs also get a little stretch. And there's one more option on this pose. There might be more, but one option could be you move your arm inside your knee and outside your heel, and on the other side the same pose, but now you've got a little bit of traction with your hands. Remember, the purpose of this pose or this session is not to push really hard. It's just to recover and find a sense of stillness while we're still going to be doing quite a bit of movement, but in a more relaxed kind of way. So just set that intention, bring it into every breath, every movement and pose that we're going to be doing. Good. And then release that. Just sit down. Bring the left heel towards your right buttock. Step the right foot over the left knee. And then instead of just twisting and putting a hand behind you, just take a moment, hold that front knee and descend your sit bones down. If you find that really hard, if one sit bone is lifted in particular, you might need to sit on a block or on a blanket, which is actually a nice idea. And then really loosely wrap that left arm over the right knee. Place your right hand a little bit behind you. And now don't twist to the maximum, just stay here. Just turn a tiny bit to the right. And can you do this twist more as a grounding pose than as a real twisting pose? So let the grounding be your main focus. Let the sit bones feel connected. Let the weight of the bones in your legs and the hips soften down and ground you down. And then let there be a real easy quality in the upper body, in the shoulders, in the neck, in the face. So there's no strain whatsoever. Nice. Let's go to the other side. Right heel, bring it towards left hip. Left foot, step it over. Take a moment, shuffle around or sit on your block or your blanket. And then descend the sit bones down. I'd like for both sit bones to be connected. And loosely wrap the right arm over the top knee. Place the left hand behind you. Turn a tiny bit to the left. But remember, our purpose is to ground, to settle, to arrive in this pose, basically, and not to twist to our maximum capacity. On some days, we maximize those twists. It's quite nice, a nice thing to do. But for today, we're looking for recovery, for something different than we do on most days where we push a little bit harder. Good. Gently come out of that. Bring your left shin in front of the right. Cross your shins down the middle and flex your feet. And then compact the pose. Your feet are under the knees somewhere. Lift the chest. Nice. You can stay right here. You can again sit on a block or a blanket if your hips need a little bit of a lift. And then maybe you walk the hands a little bit forward until they stop. So don't think you have to go super low. This is one of our first poses in a bit of a gentle class. So just go until you feel something interesting, but nothing too intense. Good, and then walk back up. You can swap the legs, so right shin is in front of the left. Cross the shins down the middle, flex the feet, make them active, lengthen the spine. You can stay here, you can use your hands behind you, you can sit on something, remember. And you can also walk forward. Now notice where you usually go, you go to the maximum and you immediately search that the limit of your stretch. Now today, just back off a lot of it. Go for maybe 70%, for example. Nice. Another breath here. Good. Slowly lift back up. Let's come into a squat. We'll do a few rounds of sun salutations, but we'll be starting from Malasana. That's a good option if you're squatting, but it doesn't feel super relaxing. It's just to hold on to something. I've got some poles here on the deck, which is quite nice. It's just going to help you to lift the chest a little bit more. And especially if you feel like you're otherwise falling back, then this support or something to hold onto in front can really help. If you don't need that, that's fine. You can lower the fingertips down or the hands to the heart. Nice. Then from here, just bring the right foot back and lower the right knee down. And then a couple of times move in and out of the half splits pose, the half Hanuman. Nice. Just move in and out, gentle movements. And then last one, we're going to hold. So you can stay back or you can walk the hands further back and sit on that right heel. It's a similar pose, just a different variation. So either your right hip is above the right knee, more or less, or you're sitting on the right heel, and otherwise the rest is the same. We're stretching the back of the left leg. Good, and then come out of it. You can push yourself forward. Let's go downward facing dog. Inhale into plank. Exhale, lower down, and then place your forehead on the hands just for a breath or two. So we'll build this into our sun salutations as a little moment of rest. Good. Back to down dog. You can always push back to child's pose first. Nice. And then step right foot forward, lower the left knee down, and then do the half splits to lunge, rocking backwards and forwards a couple of times. So move that right hip back, move it forward. Just feel a bit of loosening up around the hips there. Keep the breath smooth, maybe connected to the movements if you can. And then if you want to hold half splits or untuck the back toes all the way on the left heel and walk a bit forward. You might be higher up, this is fine. Or you can use blocks or a strap if you want to reach that front foot. I don't always find it super useful to pull on the foot, even if it's within my reach. I prefer for that reach to come from a sort of an inner engagement from the belly moving back and spine lengthening. So see if you can feel some of that. Good. Let's come forward again. Step straight into a squat. Soften the hips down, lift the chest. Remember, you can hold onto something or you can place the hands together, chest up, hips heavy. Good. Let's step the other foot back, left knee to the mat. And come onto fingertips this time. First, lengthen the spine sort of away from the hips. And then tuck the back toes under and super straighten that back leg. So it's an active pose, but it's super simple. A nice, clean lunge pose. Don't be too heavy with your upper body on that right thigh. Keep it a bit lifted. Good, and then step back to downward facing dog. Reach the hips up and back. Press the thigh bones back behind you. Inhale to plank. Lower your knees, or however you want to lower down. Come to your belly. Place the hands on top of each other. Rest your forehead. Take a few breaths, maybe 2 or 3. And just feel this, the mat welcoming you to your practice. Well done, you made it in spite of all the projects you've got going. Good, press back to down dog. This time step left foot forward, right knee down. Come on to fingertips first. Lengthen the spine. Almost think like flat back. You want to grow the spine forward and up. And tuck the back toes. Lift the back knee. Straighten the back leg all the way. So push the right heel behind you. And at the same time, lengthen the chest the other way. We're a little bit light in the belly, in the chest, so that we're not leaning on the front thigh. And then step into a squat. Nice. Let the hips sink down and just do your version of the squat, whatever it looks like. Let's step right foot back. Wiggle the left foot over to the right side of the mat and then come into an easy pigeon pose. Let's stay upright for this one. First, push the fingertips down, glue your legs onto the mat, and just look straight in front of you. This version of pigeon is more focused on the hip flexors, the front of that right thigh and hip. And I will do a second variation, which is lower down, where you're probably going to feel a bit more stretch in the left outer hip as we're reducing that angle of the torso to the legs. Another breath or so, just soften that left hip down and lengthen it back ever so slightly. Good. And then hands down, downward facing dog. Let's go inhale plank. Exhale, lower to your belly. Little break. Place the hands, place your forehead. Let the belly relax. Soften the whole body down. Maybe you want to sigh the breath out, or whatever helps you to ground and settle. Good. Let's come back up. Step right foot forward. Actually, just bring right knee into pigeon pose. It's a bit more straightforward. And then wiggle the left leg back. We're coming into the fingertips first. Be a bit active in the legs, so the legs are pushing the mat away at the bottom. And there's a nice lift in the chest. See if you can feel the front of the left hip, the thigh, maybe all the way into the belly. One more breath here. And we're going to soften down for option 2, more of outer hips, glutes, piriformis are usually the typical muscles we would target, but there's a whole bunch more that are in that region. And then it's sometimes nice to not think too much about, the technical details, but just to feel the recovery effects through your breath, through your body, softening down. Good. Slowly release. Just swing that left leg forward and lie down on your back. Hold the right hamstring, so just below the knee. You can clasp your hands together, and then a couple of times, with the bottom leg, you can keep it bent. And then a couple of times, stretch the heel up and bend the knee, squeeze the fingers under that calf. And then stretch the leg up. Think of flossing that hamstring and then squeeze the knee shut. Do that a few times. It's okay if the knee doesn't straighten all the way, or you can also move that knee a bit further away from your body to get a bit more reach through the leg. It's just flossing up and down, and just experiment what happens when you point your foot. You feel a stretch in the front of the top of the foot and in your shin area. Or what happens when you flex the foot? What can you feel? Can you feel more calf, more Achilles, more hamstring? Nice. And swap to the second side, left leg, hold the hamstring just below the knee, and then stretch up and bend the knee. Every time you bend the knee, squash the hand a bit by using the hamstrings. That's a couple of times. And then try pointing the foot. Feel the difference. I feel quite a stretch in the shin and front of the foot. And then what happens when you flex, you pull the toes towards your shin. Just try it out. A bit more whole back of the leg sensation. Good. Then grab your block or a pillow, a cushion, a bolster, something you can slide underneath the sacrum, which is that flat part in your lower back, just above the glutes. And make sure you're quite steady, quite comfortable. It doesn't have to be yoga block, as long as the hips are a little bit elevated. And then bring the right knee towards your chest, just interlace your hands behind the knee, or behind the hamstring also works. And I like to move the knee a little bit out to the side, and that usually gives me a bit more space to pull it in. And then lengthen the left leg forward, so away from you. And if it's a bit bent, that's fine. If you prefer to hover it, that's okay. But see if you can relax that leg and just make it feel heavy. The right knee is not super important in this pose. It's just to hold the pelvis in place so that we get a bigger stretch on the front of left hip here. And then send a few breaths into those frontal hip points. The left one, which feels quite open. The right one, which feels a bit compressed. Good, and swap it around. So left knee, bring it in. Angle the knee a little bit out to the side so you bypass some of the tighter spots. And stretch your right leg away. For me, it feels a little tender, the front of the right hip, so I'm not going to push too hard here. I'm just letting that leg relax down. Let the head rest back. Take a few breaths into the front of the hips. Left side is closed or compressed. Right side is open, but can you relax? Both sides, even the side that is pulling together. And of course the side is stretching as well. Good, slowly release. You could slide the block out to the side and then bring your right foot into half happy baby. So you can gently pull down. If the foot is too far away, you can use a strap or just hold the ankle or even hold behind the knee. This is fine. Doesn't really matter where you're holding. And then let the ankle be above that knee. And imagine a knee softening down towards your rib cage or towards the floor. Some people are just really flexible this way. I've seen people go all the way down to the floor, which I can't show you, but I know it's possible in some cases. Just work with your body as it is. And remember, everything's changing all the time. You know, there's clouds above me, the seasons, the weather, our bodies, our age, technology, everything changes. And that's how it should be. Place right ankle on the left knee and then just briefly pull the left shin in with the hands for a figure 4 hip stretch. I'm gently pressing the right knee away and just get a sense of how level are your hips. I often have to lift the right hip up a bit because it tends to move too far forward. Good. One last breath here. And then just put the left foot down, wiggle it a bit over to the right side, and then lower the whole thing down to the left side. I like to pin that right foot down with the left hand and reach right hand out to the right. You can turn the gaze, but it's not super important in this pose. It's more of a outer hip stretch. And then even though this pose might be quite mild, it's quite targeted towards those outer hip muscles. You might feel a stretch that you don't get in some of those other hip stretches. Take another breath here, sink down into the mat a little bit more fully. Good. And then slowly come up. Let's go the other side. Place the right foot down, bring left knee into half happy baby. Hold the foot, the ankle, behind the knee, all of it is fine. I recommend to start with your elbow or your hand inside the knee and then hold outside of the foot. Or you can also turn the hand around and pull the inner heel down. That's also quite a nice hand hold, if you like. And then notice the lower leg is vertical, go straight up away from the floor. And see if you can relax whatever you can. Another breath here. And then figure 4 or supine pigeon. Flex that left foot a bit, keep it a bit active as you pull the right knee in and press the left knee away. And then just notice if you go too far, that left hip will shift all the way forward, which will make the pelvis not level, not stable. And the pelvis likes to be level and stable. So see if you can find that. You might need to shift around a bit, left hip, right hip, up and down until you feel, yeah, this is good. I'm in the middle. And this makes sure that most of that hip movement comes from the actual hip joint and not from your spine or your pelvis sort of cheating a little bit or helping out of it. Good. And then right foot down, walk it over to the left and put the left foot all the way down outside the knee. I like to pin it down with the right hand. You can try that. But the right hand can also press the left thigh away if that feels better. Maybe try both and see what's the right one for you. And then just let the shoulders lie back. Let the head rest back. Just feel nice and held in your pose, in your practice. This is a safe space. And notice how you can be quite active, but very restful at the same time. Isn't that nice? You're doing yoga, you're getting your practice in, you work on a bit of movement and capacity, but in a really nice, gentle way. Good. Then release that, bring both knees into the chest. Nice. And then squeeze the knees together, hold the front of the knees, and then make little circles with your knees in the air. And I would like you to focus on the effect this has of your lower back on the ground. Can you feel you're making a little circle around the lower back, the top and the side, and then the sacrum, and then the other side? Feels really nice to massage this area. It's often a bit problematic. There's a big portion of people, including myself sometimes, that have experienced lower back issues or discomfort. And this is good to get in there and then change direction. Just feel a little circle move around as the knees circle. Make it quite smooth if you can. And then hold one knee in each hand and split the knees apart. Circle them forward. Bring them back together. Do a few of these gentle hip circles. Just explore the outer reaches of that hip movement. One more in this way, this direction, and then change to the other side. First opening, then bringing closer, and then going further away. A couple of times. Enjoy this simplicity and predictability. Nice. And then let's bring the knees together. We'll end with a gentle twist. Lift the knees quite high towards the chest for this one. and then drop the knees to the left side. I like to shift the hips a bit back so you get a straight line in your torso, your upper body, down the middle of your mat. And then with the knees quite high up, you can open the arms to the sides, try to soften the right shoulder down, try to lengthen the spine. And then that left hand can just hold that top knee down. If that gives you a bit more grounding, that's a good thing. And then soften, tune in. Don't leave this space. Don't miss this breath. And if you can, don't superimpose some story from the mind that has nothing to do with this practice, this cloud that floats past here above you, this little breeze on your skin, the noise in the next room, whatever you hear or experience right now, that's where it's at. Good. Come back to center. You might need to shift the hips over to the left first so that your spine's later going to be in good alignment. Knees quite close to the chest. Keep them high as you drop them to the right. Let's just check alignment in your spine. You're going to have length in the spine and a good line in the middle of the mat. Open the arms, relax the shoulders, maybe pin the top knee down and just find a spot to drop in. The breath is moving, the rest of the pose is quite still. How about one more breath here? Inhale, slow. Exhale, even slower. Good, gently release. Come back to the middle. Let's rock up to sitting. Come into a comfortable seat. If you want to use your block or your cushion or your blanket, you can sit on that. If that makes it a bit more comfortable, that's great. I want to end with some breath work called alternate nostril breathing or Nadi Shodhana. Energy cleansing of the channels, the nadis. Nice. Do this with me. Take your dominant hand and bring the first two fingers into the palm. And you've got your thumb to close one nostril and your ring finger to close the other nostril. So just practice for a moment. If that doesn't work well, you can also put your fingers above your nose and use the thumb and ring finger to close the nose, the one nostril at a time. Good. Close your eyes. Other hand could be in Jana Mudra, which is to make a circle connecting index finger and the thumb, or any other way that feels good to you. Nice. Close your eyes. Inhale slow. Exhale, side breath out. Close your right nostril. Inhale left. Close both. Open the right. Exhale right. Keep going. Inhale through the right. Same side. Pause. Hold both. Exhale through the left. That's one full round. Let's do that again. Inhale left. Pause. Exhale right. Hold the breath out. Inhale right. Pause. Stay full for a moment. Exhale left. Good. Inhale left. Pause. Visualize the breath sitting inside you and watch it go out as you exhale through the right. Inhale right. Pause. Hold both. Exhale left. Let's do one more full round. Inhale left. Pause and hold. Exhale right. Almost there. Inhale right. Pause and hold both. And to end, exhale to the left. Really nice. Both hands to the knees. Sit comfortably in the middle. Close your eyes. Watch the breath move through both nostrils. Notice how the hips feeling after your bit of recovery work. How's the general sense, the general mood in your body? Is there a relaxed sense? Is your nervous system a bit calmed down? Is there a sense of balance and maybe even renewed capacity? Just notice. Should you do more of this? Or should you not do more of this? That's always a good question, isn't it? If it works, you should feel immediate benefit. And of course, many long-term benefits are waiting for you as you continue this practice. But if it doesn't work, you'll know immediately. You'll know this is nothing for me. Good. Then bring the hands together at the heart. Touch your hands to your forehead, to the heart center. And bow to the wise guide inside. Yogis, thank you so much for practicing. It was a pleasure to do this recovery work with you. Let me know what you think of this practice. If you want more of this, if you want more different kind of practices, I'm always open to suggestions. And have a good one. See you here soon.